Hey guys, how's it going? So yesterday I put out a video that a lot of you I assume have watched talking about 6 major gun control bills that they're rushing through Lansing right now before the end of this lame duck session. If you haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch that first so you know what was going on. But there is a major change, so you're going to want to stay tuned to one of these Senate bills that was like completely insane and terrible. So, real quick, just to summarize, the 4 House bills that I talked about yesterday have passed the Michigan House of Representatives. Those are headed to the Senate for vote. If they pass the Senate, which they probably will, they will be signed into law by the governor. I detailed those in previous live streams as well as my video yesterday. Now, the ones I want to focus on today are Senate Bills 857 and 858, that when you combine these two, especially with the 858, it was going to ban like everyone, including CPL holders, from even merely possessing firearms in a huge long list of locations. Essentially, virtually kind of banning the use of CPL in thousands of places in Michigan, potentially criminalizing a lot of people who are otherwise law-abiding citizens. So today there was a committee hearing, as I told you, at noon in the Senate office building in Lansing, Michigan. And look, I'm going to say this first and foremost. I'm going to give all of you guys a shout out. You guys were vocal. You guys actually called your senators, called your reps. You guys made your voices heard, and they did backtrack a ton. So for that, I want to give you guys all a huge shout out and thank you so much for trying your hardest to defend what we have left of the Second Amendment here in Michigan. Now, with that said, I still reject these bills outright. These bills need to be voted down, so still urge your representatives and senators, because both chambers will end up voting on these, because I still reject the premise of the bills. And I want to add one more little cliff note here. I reject that you should even have to have a CPL in Michigan. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that's for everybody in the public. That's not just for people who buy a permit. You should never have to pay to exercise a natural, constitutionally protected right. So I still reject the premise of this now revised Senate Bill 858. But at the same time, I want to give you guys a shout out because we did make this much less worse, and I hope you agree with me. Less worse is better than more worse, while we still reject these bills outright. So yesterday I had explained to you that this long list of places where you generally can't carry or even possess a firearm, there was an exception that used to be in the law that said, well, it still is in the law hasn't changed yet, a person's licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed weapon. Okay. The previous section did not apply to that, as well as police officers and many other people. Well, they had crossed out that exemption, as I just showed you, which would have made it where you couldn't even possess a firearm in the parking lots or premises thereof, all of this super long list of places. They've now gone through with this new. This is called substitute for Senate Bill 858. This is breaking news. This just happened a couple hours ago. And now we see it's right back in there again. Section C. They uncrossed it out, if that's a grammatically correct way to word it. A person licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed weapon would still be able to possess the firearms in these areas. Now, keep in mind, though, and there's no legal advice in this, guys. This video is not that. I'm just trying to get all of you informed, and I'm a Second Amendment advocate, and I appreciate all of us getting together to try to make a difference. That's the purpose of this video. Information and advocacy. Now, keep in mind, there's still a whole nother set of laws that apply to CPL holders, and there's still a long list of places where you cannot concealed carry. So essentially what they did is they still left this in here, which is really bad. They've added a new list of prohibited places where you won't be able to carry concealed or openly, even if you have a CPL. That's going to be the Michigan State Capitol building. Now, carry's been banned from there for a while now, but that was from a rule from the Capitol Commission, not a law. This is a law, which is a lot harder to... This is a bill right now, but it would become law if or when it passes. Law is a lot harder to repeal later than a rule. The Anderson House office building. This is where your representatives' offices are. the Bensfield Senate building. Your senators work in there. All right. Now, I think the best way to look at this is you already on the back of your CPL. If you have one, you know what this is. This generally isn't changing, I think is the best way to look at this now with this new substitute bill, except for we're going to add 3 more places that I just named on here where you're not going to be able to carry concealed with a regular Michigan CPL. So, look, guys, I don't want to say this is good news. It's not good news that there's a bill that still just passed committee, reported favorably to the Senate. Senate will vote on this. The House will vote on it. If it passes both chambers, the governor will gladly sign any form of gun control. So that part isn't a victory. But seriously, shout out to all of you. I was talking to my state representative. She was actually in our live stream chat last night, and she said this topic came up during their House caucus meeting. What that means is that enough of you were heard and enough of you called, wrote, spread awareness to this on social media, shared my video, whatever it took to get the awareness out. We all have their attention now. Now, that doesn't mean the Democrats are going to all of a sudden become Second Amendment supporters. No. But even they realized they had gone too far. Now, their version of the story is, oh, it was just a mistake. It was just a clerical error. And you know what? I have a really hard time believing that because it's only like a 1.5 page bill. And you don't just accidentally, due to clerical error, strike a line that would prohibit even CPL holders, which commit virtually 0 crimes in the state of Michigan. You don't just accidentally do that, in my opinion. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. But that's their official narrative, is, oh, it was just a mistake. So, as far as I can tell, what's changing is they're going to add these 3 buildings as prohibited places, where you'll have to choose between exercising your First Amendment right to go to the Capitol, freedom of speech, to petition your government for redress of grievance. You'll have to decide if you want to trade that for your Second Amendment protected right, when we all know we need to be able to exercise them both concurrently. And there's literally only been one incident involving what the other side would call gun violence in the history of the Michigan State Capitol building. Now, this is a very historic building. It's over a century old. There was an incident, as reported, of a police officer shooting another police officer over something personal, from what I recall. But no regular citizens have ever shot anybody in the Michigan State Capitol building or these office buildings. But they're still banning them because they want to restrict your right to keep and bear arms. One more thing I still have a lot of beef with. You know, we're not supposed to have separate classes of citizens in this country. That's like completely antithetical to what America is. Or we're not supposed to have titles of nobility. We're all supposed to have equal justice under the law. Obviously, that's one of the core fundamentals of what's supposed to make this republic. We're not a democracy. We're a republic, like Ben Franklin said. If you can keep it, is equal justice under the law. But that's not the case here. See, we've long seen where police officers and different various professionals are exempt from these, but they've also added another exemption here that I don't like at all. So the list of exempt people are a peace officer, okay, people who are doing bona fide security services, or a person carrying a concealed pistol if that person meets both of the following conditions. Number 1, is licensed to carry a concealed pistol. Now, hold on, though. Number 2, both of these have to be met. Is carrying a concealed pistol while that person is serving as a member of the Michigan House of Representatives or the Michigan Senate. And the thought that these representatives' lives and senators' lives, according to the Democrats who sponsored this bill, are fast-tracking it through committee. It's already passed committee. And in my opinion, you're going to be fast-tracking this through the main Senate as well as the House. They think their lives and safety are more important than people like me and people like you. And clearly they are establishing that we have 2 classes of people in Michigan. We have the people's lives that are worth protecting while they're in these buildings, representatives and senators. And then according to these people who wrote this bill, and everybody who votes on it will agree with this, by the way, their lives are worth protecting, but not yours and not mine. Even though CPL holders are very peaceful people, crime stats prove that we commit virtually 0 violent crimes. Like, it's literally like 0.0002. I might have even missed a 0% of CPL holders ever do anything wrong that anyone should be worried about. So just digest that for a minute, how crazy this bill still is. And remember, you should not need a permit to exercise your natural right to keep and bear arms. I reject that premise totally. But I do want to give you guys a shout out because this bill could have been a lot worse. Like literally 1,000 times worse. But all of you, just regular people, see, this proves when we get together, we actually matter a little bit more. We're able to help call them out and remind even these radical leftist Democrats that they had just gone way too far. Clerical error? I doubt it. Like, I highly doubt it. But that's what they said? No, I think we changed their mind because they realized they had just gone too far. Again, no legal advice. But as far as where non-CPL holders are allowed, and I say that in big air quotes, by Michigan law, because the Constitution says something totally different, I don't see where any of that's changed. You guys are still prohibited from many places. I suggest you read your public acts. You can look up Michigan Senate Bill 857. You can also look up the new substitute for 858 and see that CPL holders, okay? You guys with CPL holders, you're still going to be banned from these 3 specific buildings in Lansing. Other than that, in my opinion only, research for yourself. If you need legal advice, call a lawyer. But in my opinion, it's going to go back, I guess you could say, how it was, which is not a good thing. None of these places should be banned. But now the addition of these 3 buildings that are very important places that we should be able to go and talk to our representatives and senators. All right, let me know what you all think in the comments. I still urge you, those previous 4 bills that we talked about in the other video, still call those reps and senators and urge them to vote no. Still urge them to vote no on Senate Bills 857 and 858. We haven't won the war here. We just had a small victory in that we got them to backpedal and make this much, much, much less worse. I appreciate all of the new people that are now following the channel. Thank you so much. Make sure you check the description and follow me on some of the censorship-free sites, like Locals, where we do an extra live stream every week, where we touch guns and do all kinds of cool stuff we just can't do here on YouTube. Also, the other site that YouTube doesn't even like you to say the name of it. It rhymes with Fumble, and it's the sister site to Locals. The link to that's down in the description, as well as X and Myriad Social. So I hope to see you guys on some of the other sites. And hey, I'd like to give you guys a bit of good news when there's good news, but we still need to spread the word that this has to stop. Gun control is not acceptable. It never was. And we need to get these people to vote no on this. So just keep contacting and we'll see if we can continue to make a difference. All right. Thanks for watching and have a good one.